Hey, welcome to my online class, The Power of Plants. And this talk that I created, I actually made a couple of months ago for a presentation that I did for a group of holistic healthcare practitioners. So I made the talk quite science-based, even though I'm not an expert myself, that's the audience that I was talking to. But I thought that it would be really interesting for other people. I'm the type of person who likes to understand how and why something is working. And when I do share that type of thing, like on my Instagram, I get a lot of questions about it. So that's why I decided to offer this class to all of you as well. So yes, it does go into the science, but I'm talking about it as a lay person. And hopefully, therefore, it is easy to understand and not too complicated as well. So what I'm going to do now is just share my screen so that I can do my little presentation. Okay, there we go. And I am going to have my chat box open. So if you have a specific question as we're going, you're welcome to drop it in there. If I can manage and doesn't confuse me too much, I'll answer the questions as I go. Otherwise, at the end of the presentation, you're welcome to ask any questions that you have as well. And if you're watching the replay and you have questions, please reach out either to me or whoever gave you the recording and we can answer your questions. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about myself so that you know who I am and where I'm coming from as we go through everything that we're talking about today. So, as I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an expert of any kind. I am a mother, I'm a body worker and an energy worker. And I have explored various different modalities of frequency medicine because that is something that I find really fascinating. And so for me, when I came to using essential oils, I found it so serendipitous that I'd found my way to the essential oils because I really believe that when we work with essential oils, we're actually working with the frequency of that plant. And so for me, I'm simply exploring another iteration of frequency medicine. I have experienced chronic illness and I've come out of the other side of that. So, in my personal journey of healing, I've explored a lot of different methods, and essential oils have played a role in my recovery. So, I first started using the oils for myself, and then when I experienced the potency and the efficacy of them, I started sharing that with my friends and family and with my clients. So obviously, I do work with a specific essential oil company that is doTERRA, and that is why I am offering this online class for free today. And yes, if you've contacted me to be here today, I am going to follow up with you after and find out if maybe you would like to buy doTERRA essential oils. But I want to make it really clear that I'm not here just to push a product, make a couple of bucks. I'm here to share my enthusiasm and my passion and my excitement for the possibilities that essential oils can offer to those who are really in need. So I hope that that all comes across in the presentation and the way that I've put it together today. Right, so let's get into it. Plant remedies have been around for eons, probably as long as humans have been around. We have been using plants as medicine. Both in traditional hunter-gatherer societies and in farming societies, people would have been exposed to a vast number of aromatic plant compounds on a daily basis, both purposefully and incidentally. So they would have purposefully been harvesting the plants that they know have benefits for them, but also just because of the nature of their lives as they were going about their daily life. They were always outdoors. As you brush up against a plant, the aromatic compounds are released. Whatever you're stepping on, the aromatic compounds are released. So, in fact, this is not something new. This is something that we have evolved with. These aromatic plant compounds have always been part of our environment. For me, it's really exciting that today a lot of research is being done all over the world into the pharmacokinetics. So that means how the essential oil actually interacts with the chemistry of your body. and research is being done on all the variety of plants that contain essential oils. Last year, I was able to attend a talk by an American psychologist, Dr. Danielle Daniel, who started using essential oils in her practice with inner city teens, and she was blown away by the rapid progress she was able to make with patients who had previously been really stuck. And simply by introducing the oils in a very subtle and non-invasive way by having a diffuser in her room. These young kids were able to process and release trauma and see real, tangible improvements in their mental and emotional health. Dr. Daniel went on to conduct a study on the effects of bergamot oil on PTSD, and the results were very positive. And I'll share more about that study a little bit later. Essential oils are natural, lipophilic, that means they like fat or oil, volatile aromatic compounds that produce a wide range of therapeutic actions in the body. They are considered to be aromatic compounds because they are light in molecular weight and they carry that beautiful, intense aroma of the plant. Essential oils are found on flowers, seeds, bark, stems, roots, leaves, peels, and fruits. There are around 3,000 essential oils that have been discovered, but currently only about 300 or so of those are available commercially. Aromatic compounds on the plants serve various purposes, including acting as a protectant against oxidative stress with the donation of a hydrogen molecule, and as a pathogenic defense mechanism from the environment, protecting the vitality of the plant from fungi, bacteria, viruses, etc. So we could kind of think of the essential oil in the plants as the plant's immune system. And so when we use an essential oil, we are in effect borrowing the immune system of the plant to bolster our own immune system. Essential oils are extracted by steam distillation or cold pressing. Their chemistry consists of hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen molecules. And because the greater part of the human body is also made up of those three, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, this unique chemical makeup allows the essential oils to act directly and indirectly within our cells and microorganisms. So, in case you don't know, our microbiome, all the little organisms within us, virus, bacteria, fungi, parasites, in totality actually make up a far greater percentage of our body than actual human cells. So, looking after our microorganisms is really important for our health. Some aromatic compounds even closely resemble that of human atoms, allowing them to aid in certain biological functions such as hormone and sleep chemistry, which is really interesting and explains why the essential oils have such a massive impact on us. So they are super potent, they're very concentrated, a little bit goes a long way. And they can support the body in various different ways, including inflammation, bacterial or viral infections, pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, depression, cellular vitality, metabolism, gut function, skin conditions, and more. Mostly when people hear essential oils, and I get this a lot when I'm talking to people, they think of something that just smells nice and that's it. They don't know that there is anything more to it. But that's only because of a lack of understanding of what essential oils really are and a lack of experiencing the benefits due to being exposed to an inferior product or not having the education on how to use them. So, for example, if you were to buy doTERRA oils through me or anybody on our team, you get access to ongoing support. We have a WhatsApp Q&A group. We have so many ebooks and PDFs. We do online classes like this, and we're constantly providing support for you to actually be able to use the essential oils correctly so that you experience the benefits. The purity of the essential oil and the chemical makeup of the plant are, of course, imperative when we're talking about using the oils therapeutically. Many of the essential oils on the market today have not been extracted from the richest source of that plant species. So it actually all starts with the plant, with where and how it is grown. And oftentimes, people are like mass farming plants to extract essential oils, but then the plant itself is not a robust, healthy plant. So it doesn't have as high a concentration of these chemical compounds that we're looking for. Furthermore, the oil can be damaged in the distillation process, and that can happen by accident, even when somebody has good intentions. Just in the distillation process, accidentally, these chemical compounds can be damaged, or, of course, through negligent practices, it can be damaged. And then, even worse, if we go to the extreme, oftentimes companies are now using chemical extraction. So instead of the steam distillation or the manual method of extraction that I mentioned, a lot of times today they're actually using chemical extraction. So that means that right at the start, you're getting a product that has been denatured and is chemically, what's the word I'm looking for? Infiltrated. No, affected, whatever. You know what I mean. uh,
Compromised.
Compromised. There we go. And then to make it even worse, they then adulterate the end product by adding other ingredients such as artificial fragrances or vegetable oils or even petrochemicals. The essential oil industry is very closely linked with the perfume industry. So a lot of people that are producing essential oils are interested in one thing only, and that's they want to make it smell good so that when you smell it, you buy it. But doTERRA as a company is not focused on just making it smell good. If it is the natural product, it will smell good. But what they are focused on are the therapeutic benefits. And so they are very particular about the way that the plants are grown and how the essential oil is extracted and stored and shipped and all of that. So these companies that are just making essential oils for the perfume industry, they are chemically altering it, adding things, adulterating it, only to manipulate the scent, and they're not giving any consideration to how those chemical constituents are going to affect your health. A grower of these plants might have the best of intentions, but often the oil passes through so many hands that by the time it reaches you on the shelf of Dis-Chem or Clicks or whatever, it's been tampered with by the middlemen who are only out to maximize profits. They do not care about your health. Even if an oil says it's pure or organic on the label, there is actually no way to know the source, the purity, and the efficacy of the oil unless it has been tested and tracked from source to bottle. So your regular inexpensive oils on the shelf of your local shop not only may not give you the therapeutic benefits that you're after, but they may actually cause harm. And a little bit later, I'm going to share a video that explains more about this. So that's why using the highest quality of oil possible is so important, especially if you are looking for the therapeutic benefits. Like cannabis or honey, the industry is not regulated. So any company in South Africa can say this is 100% pure, this is organic, but nobody is checking it. So I really have to emphasize this point before I go on and explain all these amazing therapeutic benefits to you, because I would hate for you to watch this class and then go off to Clicks and buy a cheap little peppermint oil because Rain said that peppermint oil does this, this, and this, and then you use it, and not only does it not do what I said it does, but you might actually harm yourself by using that product that is not pure and is not therapeutic grade. So not all essential oils are equal. Oftentimes, I hear people saying that they've had an allergic reaction to an essential oil. And of course, just like somebody can be allergic to peanuts or shellfish or whatever, there are cases where somebody might be allergic to it, yes. But 9 times out of 10, when people have these reactions to these oils, they're not reacting to the essential oil from the plant. They are reacting to whatever else has been added into the oil or the way in which the chemical compounds have been adulterated and damaged. So sometimes people say the moment that tea tree oil touches my skin, I break out in a rash. But then they try doTERRA's tea tree oil and they don't have that reaction. Or they say lavender gives me a terrible headache, lavender essential oil. But then they try the doTERRA essential oil, and not only do they not get a headache, but they feel calm and it helps them to sleep and it improves their mood. So that is the difference between using any old essential oil versus using doTERRA's essential oil. So I'm just quickly going to go through what's here on the screen right now. This is doTERRA's method for producing their essential oils. When it comes to the source, doTERRA does not own any of their own farms. So they don't go out and buy up a whole lot of land and then just plant various different crops that may or may not be suited to that specific climate. They actually go all over the world and they source where does this plant grow best? Where are we going to get the highest concentration, the best quality of these chemical compounds? And then, for example, let's say like the tea tree they grow in Kenya, they actually have amazing upliftment programs where they gift the seedlings to the farmers. They educate the farmers on how to farm. And so they are empowering these local people to be their own farmers and they sell the product, they sell the tea tree to doTERRA. And obviously doTERRA oversees and makes sure that they are using the correct growing methods, everything is organic, etc. So there's a lot of community empowerment involved in their sourcing methods. And then when it comes to extraction, as I said, doTERRA only does steam distillation or the manual extraction, and the plant chemical compounds remain intact, which is what gives you the therapeutic benefits that you need. Purity, nothing is added, nothing is taken away. So really important to understand that aromatic compounds influence our brain chemistry. They can turn certain pathways on and off. A lot of people don't understand how damaging artificial fragrances are to us. And unless you have made a conscious choice to use pure and natural products in your home is full of artificial fragrance, from your shampoo and conditioner to your body lotion, your toothpaste, deodorant, but even to your laundry detergent, the stuff that you wash your floors with, everything is full of artificial fragrance. And these things are disrupting our hormones and affecting our brain chemistry. So when I say it can turn certain pathways on or off, you may have heard of epigenetics. And what that means is that you might have a genetic predisposition to certain illnesses. But just because you have that genetic marker doesn't mean that you will get that thing. Epigenetics means that it is triggered by your environment, whatever is going on around you or the stress that you experience. So with the artificial fragrance versus an essential oil aromatic compound, these can turn certain pathways in the body on to make your genes express an illness that you have a genetic predisposition to, or it can switch a pathway off so that you don't experience that thing. So this is how impactful and how important it is to be aware of which type of aromatic compounds you are exposing yourself to. So doTERRA tests every single bottle of essential oil. Every batch is tested for purity to make sure that those chemical compounds are intact. And then those test results are published. So every time you buy a bottle of doTERRA essential oil, on the bottom of the bottle, there's a batch number. You can go to this website that's here at the bottom of the screen, and you can go see the test results of that batch. So you will always know that you are receiving a consistent quality of products. All right, so let's get into the pharmacokinetics of essential oils. Pharmacokinetics meaning how does the chemical or the chemistry rather of the essential oil interact with your body? Aromatic inhalation directly influences the brain and the respiratory system. The aromatic compounds travel through the neural olfactory pathway, so it goes up your nose to that neural olfactory pathway at the back of the nose, and from there it impacts your limbic system, so it goes into your brain. Upon inhalation, through this olfactory limbic permeation, aromatic compounds are coupled with sensory receptors and decoded into electronic signals in the brain. And this process only takes 20 seconds to reach the brain. So you inhale and 20 seconds, it's in your brain. So that's why for the couple of you that were on right at the start, and I was putting the Intune onto my forearms and inhaling it, that's how it works. Those aromatic compounds are immediately going to my brain. Those specific oils are helping me to focus and be able to deliver this class. Once these compounds have reached the brain, they impact the following: neurotransmitter alteration and modulation, nerve excitability and sedation, neuron stimulation and apoptosis, Neurogenesis, so that means creating new neurons. Neuroplasticity, so that means the ability of the neurons to change and adapt when they need to. Neuroendocrinology, so that triggers the production of certain hormones such as serotonin and dopamine, and we all know how important those are for mental health. Neurophysiological brain activity, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, psychological and behavioral actions, so it can actually influence your behavior. And interestingly, these compounds can surpass the blood-brain barrier. So due to their unique chemical structure of these small lipophilic, fat-loving aromatic compounds, they can permeate the brain's higher cortex. Excuse me, I have a scratch in my throat, so I'm just having some water. So they permeate the brain's higher cortex, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and the limbic system. And therefore, they affect emotion, memory, mood, and our stress response. So research has shown that the benefit to mental health is due to the pharmacological, let me try that again. It's due to the pharmacological action of the aromatic plant compounds on the brain, not just the psychological perception of a pleasant scent. So, in other words, everybody knows lavender. Everyone knows lavender's calming, it helps you to sleep. But prior to me getting into essential oils and understanding this, I just sort of thought, well, it smells nice. So, of course, it makes you feel calm because everyone likes a nice calming scent, right? But through the science, we understand that it's not just a psychological perception of, oh, it smells calm. It's actually doing something in your brain that makes you calm. So something which I found really fascinating is to learn that different essential oils impact specific different regions of the brain. So here you can see a few examples of different essential oils and one of the specific constituents in that oil that impacts that region of the brain. So, I mean, obviously, if you're interested in this type of stuff, I'll just give you a moment. You can read through it. Maybe you want to take some notes or use your phone to take a photo of the screen. Neurobiological research has linked the olfactory system to the central nervous system and the chemical electrical pathways in the body. So, your central nervous system is what controls all the functions in your body. So if the aromatic compounds of essential oils can actually affect the central nervous system, that means that it can support all the functions in your body. All right, so now I'm going to get into a little bit more specific stuff with different essential oils and their chemical constituents. So we'll start off with L-menthone, which is found in pennyroyal, peppermint, and geranium. So L-menthone can surpass the blood-brain barrier. It restores serotonin levels. It was found to reverse anhedonia, reduce depression, and reduce stress in a study on mice. If you don't know what anhedonia is, because I didn't when I put this together, so I had to go look it up. Anhedonia is like a sense of hopelessness and feeling like there's no point to life. It attenuates the pro-inflammatory cytokine expression in the hippocampus. Again, a whole big mouthful that basically means it down-regulates inflammation in the hippocampus. It reduces neuroinflammation, and therefore it has an antidepressant effect. Peppermint improves memory, stimulates focus and attention. It cools down body temperature. It improves digestion and reduces nausea. It soothes sore muscles. It is a vasoconstrictor. That means it constricts the veins and arteries. And therefore, it reduces headaches and head tension. So bergamot is the one that I mentioned earlier that Dr. Daniel did a study on for PTSD. So she actually did her doctoral dissertation on bergamot and using aromatherapy for PTSD. And so in this study, it was completely aromatic. They were only using the essential oils aromatically, whereas we actually have three ways in which we can use the essential oils. We can use them aromatically, but we can also use them topically. And then with certain specific oils, we can also use them internally. Bergamot is a citrus rich in limonene, linalool, and linalool formate. So those are the chemical constituents in bergamot that have an impact on the brain. It has an antidepressant-like effect and an anxiolytic-like behavior. Anxiolytics are medications that reduce anxiety. It calms the autonomic nervous system. So your autonomic nervous system is the part of your nervous system that controls the functions in your body that you don't think about. Your heart pumping, blood running through your veins, your digestion, all of that. And it decreases blood pressure and heart rates. Dr. Daniel's study was done with military, Navy SEALs, firefighters, and other first responders, and it showed that inhaling bergamot alleviates symptoms of PTSD, improves mood, calms nerves and anxiousness, and mitigates flashbacks from a trauma-induced response. So in the study, they used 1 drop of bergamot just into the palm of the hand, rubbed together, deeply inhaled, and they did that in the morning, midday, and then again in the afternoon. And then at night, they put 6 drops of bergamot in a diffuser and let that run overnight. And they did that for 2 weeks. That was how the study was run. They saw better and longer lasting results after 8 days of consistent use. And the higher the symptom severity, the more noticeable the improvements were. So that means the people who had the worst PTSD actually received the greatest improvements. It helped with negative mood, arousal symptoms, which is reactivity. So when we say arousal symptoms, it means how do you respond when you're in a stressed state, when somebody snaps at you, when somebody cuts you off in traffic. It doesn't mean sexual arousal, as well as avoidance symptoms. So it was seen as a significant support for those healing from PTSD. So on the next slide, if you are into this type of stuff, this is Dr. Daniel's research tables showing the effects of different essential oils and chemical constituents on mood and behavior and neurobiology. So again, if you would like to, you can take a photo of the screen, or if you would like to go through this afterwards, you can always send me a message and I will get the slide to you. But just as an example, let's look at the right-hand table right at the top, cardamom. So cardamom is anxiolytic, so that means it reduces anxiety. Neuroprotective, that means it's good for the brain. It's anti-stress. It improves cognition. GABA and CRF go up, so those are important compounds in our brain chemistry. Oxidative stress goes down. Neuroinflammation goes down. Learning and memory improve. And then if you look at the table on the right-hand side, aromatherapy's impact on behavior. So just as an example, the very first one, if you are struggling with addiction, you could use any essential oil that has limonene or BCP in it. Or if we go further down, if you want to improve cognition, you could look at using cardamom essential oil or any essential oil that contains BCP. All right, so I'll give you just another moment on the screen if you are busy looking at it. I don't want to interrupt you. Okay, so far we've only discussed aromatic use of essential oils, and now we're going to take a look at topical use. So when we're looking at topical use, there are some essential oils which are safe to use neat, but generally speaking, we will dilute our essential oils. And that's why I said earlier, a little bit goes a long way. So you use a certain amount of drops of the essential oil and you dilute it with a carrier oil such as fractionated coconut oil. So let's look at peppermint again. We were first looking at the aromatic use of peppermint. Now we'll look at topical use. So peppermint has been used since ancient times, and it was even mentioned by Hippocrates for pain relief. The main constituents in peppermint are menthol, menthone, apinines, B-pinines, and methyl acetate. And the top properties are anti-inflammatory, analgesic, antispasmodic, vasoconstrictor, invigorating, expectorant, stimulating. So Pharmaceuticals that use menthol are used to treat pain, arthritis, sore throats, joint, and muscle pain. So anytime you would reach for a pharmaceutical drug that contains menthol, that's the time when you could rather reach for your peppermint essential oil. Essential oils don't have the same action as anti-inflammatory medication. So allopathic medication, normal pharmaceutical drugs, by its nature is suppressive medicine. So it suppresses symptoms. So when you take an anti-inflammatory, it is actually suppressing the inflammation response. Inflammation in the body is not bad. It is a necessary response in the body. Obviously, if it runs unchecked and you have chronic inflammation, that's not good. But for something acute, the inflammation is how your body heals. So when you use an essential oil, rather than suppressing the inflammatory response, the oils help to facilitate and support the body's innate healing response, and it actually speeds up the process. So, a nice way to experience peppermint oil viscerally and use it topically is to put one drop in your palms. You would rub it together and then take some nice deep breaths so you get the aromatic compounds going up to your brain. And then you can rub it on the back of your neck. And then that doing those two will be very invigorating. It'll help to improve focus and it will relieve tension as well. Peppermint is particularly supportive during fever. So again, we're not suppressing the fever like taking Tylenol to stop the fever. We're just supporting the body and doing what it needs to do when there is a fever. And then it's also very nice to use peppermint in a massage balm. So you could put a few drops of peppermint oil in some coconut oil or some shea butter. And that's really great to use for DOMS or delayed onset muscle stiffness. You know, when you've been to the gym a day or two ago and you get super stiff, peppermint can help you with that. Okay, next up we have lavender, which is a big favorite with most people. The main constituents of lavender are linalool, a terpineol, linalool acetate, and B-ocimene. The top properties are it is sedative, antihistamine, cytophylactic, which means that it actively stimulates the immune system. Hypotensive, that means it brings blood pressure down. It's a nervine, that means it's good for the nervous system. It's relaxing, soothing, antibacterial, and it is regenerative. So I think pretty much everybody knows of lavender as being very calming. But what a lot of people don't know is that lavender is one of our top oils for the skin. It is really amazing for the skin. So some of the ways that you can use it topically is for sunburn and for sun protection. For burns, so like if you've burnt yourself on the stove or the oven, stings, itchy bites, wounds. It can be used for rosacea, for dry skin, irritated skin, for sleep and anxiety, and it helps to calm both physically and emotionally. So anytime you think you need something calming, whether it's physical for the skin or it's emotional, you reach for your lavender. A beautiful blend to have in a roller bottle is peppermint, lavender, and frankincense. And that is a very calming blend that you can just use like on a daily basis.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Sorry, just going to pause that video for now while I go through copaiba and then I'll play the video for you. All right, so copaiba is a very interesting oil. It comes from the resin of a tree in the Amazon, and it has an action on the endocannabinoid system of the body. I knew I was going to tongue trip over that one. It has an action on the endocannabinoid system of the body. So that is the system in our body that receives the signals from a CBD oil. So if you smoke marijuana or you use a CBD oil, that's the system in your body that receives those chemical messages, the endocannabinoid system of the body. So copaiba is comparable to CBD oil, but it is better than a CBD for a couple of different reasons. So if you look at this table over here on the right-hand side of the screen, I'll just quickly run through it. So first of all, CBD oil is not an essential oil, obviously. It's a botanical oil. So it's been extracted from the leaf of the plant, and then it's put into a carrier oil of some sort, whereas copaiba is an essential oil. CBD is an isolated molecule. So that means the CBD molecule has been extracted from the plant and then put into a carrier oil. Whereas when we look at copaiba, you're receiving the complete plant chemistry in that essential oil. We're not taking the beta caryophyllene out of the copaiba and just giving you that. You are getting the whole thing together. And for me, this is really important. I have never believed in extracting one single thing from a plant and then saying, oh, this compound is the answer to all our problems, because we don't yet necessarily understand how all the different little compounds in that plant specifically all support and work together and give the benefit that that plant gives. So when you just take the one out, yes, you might get some benefit, but you're not getting the total benefits. So in CBD, it provides an indirect activity to the cannabinoid receptors in the body. It has to go through a process of activity before it may or it may not actually stimulate their endocannabinoid receptors. Whereas when we look at copaiba, it provides direct activity on the cannabinoid receptors. It's not dependent on other activities happening within the body. And due to this direct response, the activity happens very quickly. So even though CBD has been legalized or decriminalized in various different countries all over the world, it is still like a little bit of a gray area, whereas copaiba is and always has been legal. And therefore, it has 1,000 published studies documenting copaiba's influence on the body. When we look at purity, that depends entirely on where you're buying your CBD oil. You know, a lot of CBD oils are made by somebody in their garage. They may be of amazing quality, but they may not, and you don't know until you buy it and you try it. Whereas if you buy doTERRA's copaiba, you know exactly what you're getting every time. They blend 4 different species of copaiba together. Every batch is tested, and you can access the results of those tests. When we look at potency, typically a CBD oil has minimal amounts of actual CBD in it. So it may not be a substantial enough amount for you to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Whereas the copaiba essential oil has very high levels of beta caryophyllene, up to 65%. And that makes it very effective, and less than 1 drop can have a really significant effect. The pathways of CBD are actually unknown in the body. They don't know how exactly it interacts with the receptors. Whereas when we look at copaiba, scientists know exactly how the chemical constituents of copaiba interact with the receptors. And then if we look at price, CBD can be quite expensive. When my father was dying of cancer, I was buying CBD oil for him, and it was costing about 1,500 Rand for a month's supply. Whereas if you look at a bottle of doTERRA's copaiba, it's 730 Rand for 15 mils, and that'll last you a good couple of months. So it is also a more cost-effective option. So the main constituents, as we have said, is beta caryophyllene. The top properties are anti-inflammatory, anti-arthritic, analgesic, antifungal, antibacterial, antioxidant, anti-carcinoma, carminative, antimicrobial. So I'm going to play this video for you now. In this video, this lady gets tremors in her hands. I'm not sure what condition she has, they don't say, but just have a look at what happens when she applies the copaiba.
What are we doing? Got shades. What oil have you put on?
Barber,
Papaya. Nice.
and it's the only thing what helps me to get the shaking under control.
No.
And I use it all the time before I do any writing or make anything, cooking or something, so that I have control over my hands.
Cool. We might stop it there for a sec and we'll come back in about another minute or two. Oh, look at that already. Oh, don't worry about coming back. Check that out. That's amazing.
That is really terrific.
Oh, I'm so glad you're using it.
Yeah.
So you can see there she applied the copaiba neat from the bottle. So this is one of the oils that is gentle enough to use neat. You don't have to dilute it. All right, then another example of how great copaiba is. So this is just a share from a mom in our community, and I found it so fascinating. I had to include it in here. So this little girl fell and she bumped her front tooth really hard. And the mom became concerned because the tooth started losing color. So normally when the tooth starts discoloring like that, you know that the nerve has been damaged. So she made up a mixture of copaiba, frankincense, which is the king of oils, and helichrysum, which is also known as liquid stitches because it's so good at healing. And she massaged that onto the gum line and behind the tooth 3 times a day. And the tooth was completely healed after a few weeks of daily application. So you can see the difference in color between those two photos. Okay, another one to look at for topical application is our deep blue blend. So this is a blend of oils. This blend contains wintergreen, camphor, peppermint, ylang ylang, helichrysum, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and osmanthus. And it is really wonderful for any muscular or joint pain, bruises, headaches, and even migraines. A lot of women love it for period pains. I personally use it for my period pains, works really well. And in acute cases, you can apply this on the hour, every hour. So it's sort of like microdosing. It's not like pharmaceutical medications where you take one big dose and then that's it. You can keep on applying it regularly, and sometimes that has a better effect. Excuse me, that was my alarm to make dinner that I have on every day. All right, so deep blue is one of our favorites when it comes to topical application. And then another favorite for topical application for all the women in our community is Clary Calm. There, Leonie's showing her Clary Calm. She also loves it. So Clary Calm is the woman's blend. It contains clary sage, lavender, bergamot, Roman chamomile, ylang ylang, cedarwood, geranium, fennel, carrot, palmarosa, and vitex. It smells amazing. It is instantly calming when you smell it. And we use this for hormone balancing, for PMS and cramps, for hot flashes, for mood swings, for libido, even for fertility. So these diagrams on the left-hand side just show you how and where you would apply it topically, and that's how you use it. So if you're getting cramps, you can apply it onto your abdomen. If you want to balance your hormones, you place it on the uterine and ovarian reflex points on the inside and outside of the ankles. And then you can use it on the lower back, where the adrenals sit right on top of the kidneys, if you need to calm adrenals, if you live a high stress life. We're having some issues with cortisol and all of that. Okay, then another one. This is a favorite with our moms, especially, but I mean, even as an adult, I love using my flute. So flute is a mixture that you make up yourself. It doesn't come as a pre-mixed blend. We call it flute because of the oils that go in it. Frankincense, lemon, oregano, on guard, which is a blend of cloves, cinnamon, rosemary, eucalyptus, and wild orange, and tea tree. And this is what you use at the first sign of any, I feel like I'm getting sick, whatever it is. You immediately reach for your flute because this blend supports the immune system. So it just supports the body in recovering faster from any bacterial or viral infections. So if you watch that little video that I made to market this class, where I was talking about how the essential oil can actually pass through the oily membrane that protects every cell in your body. So other things like pharmaceutical drugs cannot pass through that oily membrane. That membrane protects the cell. But because an essential oil is natural, it's carbon-based, just like our bodies, it can pass through, the body recognizes it, and it goes into the cell. And that's why it works so well in supporting our bodies from recovering from illnesses.
Shipman, and I did a science fair project.
This. Okay, so I'm going to play this video for you quickly. Oopsie. Oh, wow, I went all the way back to the beginning. Sorry about that. Let me just get back to where I was. So this video is from a kid in America who did his science fair project.
I did a science fair project.
So I think it's like 1.5 or 2 minutes long. So I'm just going to let that play and you can watch it. But I found this one really fascinating. And of course, this is just a high school kid doing his science fair project, but there have also been studies done on oregano. Okay, let's play. Now, let's go.
Shipman, and I did a science fair project for my biology class. I'm a freshman in high school, and the science fair project was on the effect of essential oils, clove bud, and oregano, and an antibiotic, amoxicillin, on the growth of bacteria. And pretty much amoxicillin, if you don't know, is an antibiotic that is commonly prescribed by doctors to kill bacterial issues such as strep throat, that kind of thing. And when I went to go tell my teacher my idea, she was very hesitant about the idea because she pretty much assumed that the amoxicillin would kill more bacteria than the essential oils would. And because of my own experience with the oils helped to kill my Crohn's disease, and so I told her that I think it would work better. So she said I could go ahead and try it out and see how it would work. So pretty much how I did the experiment. At first, I used 3 drops of each oil and then 1 little pill of amoxicillin on each plate to help kill the bacteria. And when I used 3 drops of oregano, it totally killed all of the bacteria. So there was no way for me to measure how much was actually killed. And my teacher was very surprised by that. So she had me do 1 drop of oregano, and that also killed out all of the bacteria. So she had me use a micro pipette, and that still killed more bacteria than the amoxicillin did. And when my teacher saw that, she was very shocked that a little drop of oregano could kill so much bacteria compared to a standardized pill. And I was somewhat surprised, but I kind of knew that the oregano would work better just because, like I said, my personal experience. And so I made a display board for my project and took it to the science fair, and I came in 4th place. So I'm very happy that I have personal experience and scientific proof that shows that these oils can be more effective than some prescribed medication. I'm very happy because I can take these without any side effects, and I can continue to do the things I like to do, such as play sports and hang out with my friends without any problems at all. And it
Okay, so I love seeing like real life examples of how the essential oils have actually changed somebody's life and made a really big difference. I see in the chat that Natalie said Calm is a menopausal lifesaver. I've heard that from a lot of women. Okay, so we've looked at aromatic use, we've looked at topical use, and now we will look at internal and oral use of essential oils. So when it comes to internal and oral use, it's really important to understand that, of course, we need to use the correct amounts. You can't just like willy-nilly go drinking essential oils. You have to make sure that the oil you are using is safe for internal use, firstly. Secondly, you must stick to the recommended amounts. Don't go overboard. And then thirdly, going back to what I was explaining right in the beginning, you cannot use essential oils internally if you are not sure of the purity, the quality, and the source. Okay, so I would only ever recommend to anybody that I care about to use doTERRA internally. Definitely don't use some other essential oil that you have lying around at home internally. Just want to make that clear before I talk about this so that you don't come back and tell me that I told you to poison yourself. All right, so when we look at using the oils internally, there are 3 different ways that we can do that. So we can take them orally, sublingually, which means dropping it under the tongue, and that gives you direct access to the bloodstream. Or you can use it internally by putting it into a capsule, a veggie cap, and then you swallow that capsule with water, and it goes to your digestive system. So that's more of a time-delayed manner of getting it. Whereas when you're taking it under the tongue, it bypasses the digestive system. It's going straight into your bloodstream through all those blood vessels under your tongue. And then if you use the essential oils in water or in food, you're getting a little bit of both. It's going to go into your bloodstream through your mouth, but then it's also going to go to your tummy and your digestive system. Sorry, I just need to clean up my screen a little bit here so that I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So why would you choose to use essential oils internally or orally? That is because it's able to target a more broad response throughout the whole body, and especially for the digestive system. So if you're dealing with any sort of digestive thing, it's great to use the oils like this. And then when would you use it like this, as opposed to using topically or aromatically? when dealing with anything between the neck and the genitals. So in other words, when it's something going on with the internal organs, or when it's something systemic. So when you have a systemic issue, you can use the oils internally. The body recognizes the chemistry of the oils easily, and they are metabolized by the body very well. It promotes cellular health and triggers chemical cascades within the body. When we use essential oils, the effect is not as broad as some pharmaceutical medication because the plant compounds actually have very specific cell targets. The efficacy depends on the whole oil. So like I was saying before, we don't extract one compound. They work best when you use the whole oil, when you have the complete chemistry of the plant, rather than just using singular constituents. All right, so internal use, the veggie cap. So you take your oil, you put it into a little capsule, you can top it up with a carrier oil like olive oil, and then you close it up, you drink it with water, and then it'll open up in your stomach. So the oils will already start taking effect in the tummy, and then they move through the entire digestive tract. And then the liver metabolizes the absorbed oil components and transforms them either to be used as secondary metabolites or to be excreted. So once you have those secondary metabolites, they enter the bloodstream. Now they're in the circulatory system. And this is when it starts having a systemic effect. So for example, if you take peppermint internally, it improves digestion and it has a cooling effect on the body. Whereas if you take lemon internally, it has a detoxifying effect on the body. Once the secondary metabolites are in the bloodstream, they start interacting with the cells of your body. So now you're getting that cellular level impact. And this supports biological function and can improve cellular health and energy. The unused components are then excreted, whether through the kidneys and urine or through the liver and bile. So again, just to reiterate, really important when we're taking oils like this to use therapeutic grade oils and to use the appropriate dosage. You always start with the minimum recommended dosage. You assess how your body has reacted to it, and then you might increase it. So once the oils have gone through this whole process and they are now working throughout your body, they are also really supporting your immune system. So when we use oils like this, by putting them in a capsule, we are maximizing therapeutic benefits while minimizing any potential discomfort that may happen with certain oils, which we term hot oils, such as oregano or clove or cinnamon, those types of oils. If you put them directly in your mouth, they are very, very hot. It burns. And if you try, like say, for example, with oregano, especially, if you try to swallow oregano in water, it will actually burn your esophagus. So you never put hot oils in your water or in your mouth. You're going to put them in a capsule so that they go straight to the digestive system. So that's another important point to remember if you decide to use oils internally. Okay, when we look at using the oil sublingually, so placing a drop under the tongue, this is a very fast track method. So when you're looking for quick results, that's what you'll go with because you have immediate absorption into the bloodstream with those that's very dense network of veins under your tongue. So you know when we were little, we would like stick out the tongue to show all that like blue, purple, thick veins. That's how you're getting it directly into the bloodstream. And this is particularly effective for quick effects. For example, if you need to calm somebody, or if you need to stimulate yourself, you need to wake up, or to support your immune system quickly. All right, so now we'll go through a couple of the oils that we can use like this. So we'll go back to our peppermint. So we've done our aromatic use of peppermint, topical use of peppermint. Now we're doing internal use. So when we use peppermint internally, it helps with smooth muscle relaxation. So your smooth muscles, unlike the the muscles on the outside of your body that move your body, your smooth muscles are your internal muscles that aid things like your digestion. So smooth muscle relaxation is important for your digestion. It gives visceral discomfort relief. So if you have discomfort in your viscera, in your intestines, your digestive system, you're going to get relief from that. It's antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. The metabolite that is produced by the liver from peppermint oil can soothe indigestion or an irritated gut. And then if you use, so that's when you take it in a capsule so that it goes to the digestive system. If you place it under the tongue, it is more systemic and quicker. It enhances mental clarity. So if you're at work, it's in the afternoon and you're having that slump, you can put a drop of peppermint under your tongue. It relieves head tension and it has a cooling sensation throughout the body. So for those of you that are in Joburg and suffering through this heat, you can use your peppermint. Okay, lemon is another great oil to use internally. So if you take it in a capsule, it's going to support the mucus lining of the gut. The secondary metabolites support the liver itself, elimination, and the immune system. It alleviates indigestion and it supports a healthy gut microbiome. If you take it under the tongue, this is going to improve mood and cognitive enhancement. It is uplifting, it helps you to focus, and it reduces stress. With direct access into the bloodstream, the antioxidants of the lemon essential oil neutralize free radicals, and this supports your overall health. So the reason that I did it like that is I just want you to show that from one oil, you can get different benefits by using it aromatically, by using it topically, and then by using it in a capsule or placing it under the tongue, you're going to get different benefits just from one oil. And then finally, we will look at frankincense for internal and oral use. So frankincense is known as the king of oils because of what an incredible oil it is. It has a very complex chemistry that includes both mono and sesquiterpenes. And it has, so every now and then, like when we look at these oils, I say, oh, it has limonene or it has beta-caryophyllene. So each oil has multiple different compounds, but frankincense has a particularly rich chemistry with 65 distinct chemical compounds, and all of those compounds benefit you. So that's why it is such a brilliant oil. And it has a very broad efficacy in the body. It has a calming analgesic effect and it supports cell renewal. You can use frankincense in all three methods, so aromatically, topically, and internally, to benefit from this rich chemistry. Many oils target the cell membranes. Remember, we were talking about the cell membrane and how essential oils can pass through. So a lot of the targets of specific essential oils, the target is actually the cell membrane, whereas frankincense is one of the oils that passes right through the membrane and goes into the cell. And that's why it's in our flute mixture. Remember, I said flutes, frankincense, lemon, oregano, on guard, and tea tree. Frankincense goes into the cell and it supports the body when you're dealing with viral infections. So it can also have an interaction to support and correct the expression and replication of DNA. So it's a really powerful oil. And that's why it supports so many different body systems, different pathways, and different receptors within the body. When you take frankincense in a capsule, it offers systemic benefits on the cellular level and it regulates gene expression. So there are certain things that I'm not allowed to say, but you can read between the lines. It regulates gene expression and it helps with replication of DNA. And frankincense is really amazing for cellular regeneration. And that's true when you take it internally, so for internal cells, but also when we use it topically. So it's amazing to use on your face as well. And then if you take frankincense sublingually under the tongue, it brings immediate calm, mental focus, and it's really good for mental health. It's one of our top oils for mental health. I love to use a drop of frankincense under the tongue for meditation for these reasons. It's a really, really powerful oil for meditation as well. I think I have, oh, hold on. Okay, so one of the great things about frankincense is that it supports a healthy immune response in the body. So again, we're not trying to shut down inflammation, but we're just supporting the correct function of the body so that it can heal itself. It also supports oxidative stress, cognitive function, cellular health within the brain. Okay, so excuse me. Internal use of oils offers very specific therapeutic benefits that cannot necessarily be gained from aromatic or topical use only. It's particularly supportive for the digestive system, and it gives a broad response throughout the body. It's a powerful way of therapeutically using essential oils. But again, as I said in the beginning, with internal use, the purity and the quality is paramount. You have to be really careful of that. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and then that video will start playing. And in that video, this woman is explaining how oils that have been adulterated can actually have a negative impact on you.
Oils, because they got so many at home, they're trying to be a savvy shopper, and they bought a bunch, and they're like, I should use these up. Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
So when you look at the most recent study that's been put out by Roseman, when they took our stage in, I guess it's 2019, last time we gathered in person, right? They actually did a study where they looked at copaiba, green mandarin, melissa, and turmeric, those 4 oils.
Oh, just a few favorites.
Just a few favorites, right? So at first blush, they took 3 samples from doTERRA, right, to make sure are we standardized, right, or are we seeing that standardized quality batch to batch, and they really wanted to understand that. And then of course they went out and tested other brands, and some of these brands are some of the big companies, right, claiming to be the most pure, and they wanted to really put that to the test. So at first blush, they quickly saw that turmeric, melissa, and green mandarin were adulterated in all cases outside of doTERRA. The doTERRA was pure, but all others were adulterated. Now, copaiba is the one that really, at first blush, had them a little bit stooped, because when they looked at the chemical composition just through a GCMS of copaiba, when they compared that to doTERRA, it looked on the major constituents almost identical, and it didn't appear to be adulterated. However, with further evaluation, right, because they're looking at pathways, and they're really wanting to understand what happens when this oil is used in the body, right? And so they're looking at immunity pathway, they're looking at growth pathway, and metabolic pathway. Those are the 3 main pathways that they were looking at. And it's basically, right, with the way that it, with those proteins, whether you're turning the switch on or whether you're turning the switch off. And what they found that with doTERRA, we're turning the switch on, right? We're turning that immunity pathway on. We're turning that metabolism pathway on, that cellular growth pathway on, which is awesome. It's doing all the things that we claim is happening with copaiba, specifically due to the beta-caryophyllene, right, as a cannabinoid. Now, when you look at the other big company making the big claim, what they found is that those pathways, that light switch was getting turned off. So we're actually harming our immune pathways, our cellular growth pathways, our metabolic pathways. And so not only is it not doing anything, it's actually doing far worse than that. You're actually causing harm. And what they ultimately determined is it was spiked with beta-caryophyllene, right? But at first blush with that GCMS, they couldn't see that. But as with further evaluation, that's what they actually determined. And so when we take
like a synthetic beta-caryophyllene,
yes,
they were spiked. So because we talk about that ingredient is, copaiba is like over 60% beta-caryophyllene. It's like super cool. But what you're saying is they went out and bought some at their local chemical company, and they were pouring it in. So again, it looked good, but that GCMS, like at first pass, it looks good. But when they pulled back the covers, they found out it was a synthetic version.
Use PDF Builder to edit documents anytime, any.
Sorry about that. Playing off YouTube. Okay, so that is the end of my talk. So on this last slide, I just wanted to show you the top 10 kit from doTERRA. And they have very specifically put this kit together because these 10 oils have such broad usage. So once you have your top 10 kits, there is so many different things that you can address. Like if you look there on the left-hand side, what each oil can support you with. Once you have this kit in your home, any issue that crops up, you can address that. So this is a really great way of getting started with your essential oils. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. There we go. I'm back. So for those of you that don't yet have doTERRA oils, whether you came to this call through me or through somebody else, if you have questions, if you would like to purchase the top 10 or any other oils, just get back in touch with whoever sent you to this call. So whether that was me or another person, you're going to go to them and they will help you to purchase your doTERRA oils. Are there any questions from those of you that are live on the call? Loads. Okay, so I am still busy recording. So those of you that want to ask questions, just know that if you unmute yourself to ask the question, you are going to be on the video recording. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just type the question in your chat box. Pleasure. I'm glad you enjoyed the call. Does anyone want to ask questions on the call, or do they want to discuss them afterwards?
I'd like to ask, Rain,
Yeah,
because I think
go for
it's questions that many people may
Yeah.
be asking. You spoke about the heat in South Africa. Somebody said to me, oh, I must keep my essential oils in the fridge. Is that necessary?
That's an interesting question, and I don't actually know the answer. I would have to go and ask somebody that knows more than me. I have never
Can I?
thought of keeping.
I
Yes,
can answer.
you can answer it. Great. Go.
So because South Africa is a warm climate, it is a good idea to especially put your citrus oils into the fridge during the hot summer months because they are so volatile, which means they evaporate easily. You want to put them in the fridge so that they last longer and they don't get evaporated. And that's also why they are in amber bottles, so that they are protected from the elements. So I would definitely you definitely want to keep them in a cool place. So don't put them on a windowsill. Don't put them, near a stove or anything like that. You need to keep them in a cool place. And I would definitely recommend the citrus oils in the fridge during the summer months.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie.
Pleasure.
I've been using the turmeric, 2 drops every morning in a little shot glass of water. And what I noticed since I've put the oils in the fridge, that the drop doesn't come out so easily. So I just rub it a little bit in my hands and then it's okay. There was something, I've got a list of questions, Rand. Can I just go? I'm curious. I need to know why things work the way they do. I was very impressed with the oils that are working in the specific areas of the brain. Are there any studies about how they've helped people, for instance, with front cortex injuries, people that have had injuries to the brain? Have we got anything like that to read?
I don't have anything off the top of my head that I could send you, but I'm 100% sure that we could find something. Yeah, we just need to do a little bit of digging, but there are so many studies on different things.
Amazing.
We can look into it.
Amazing. And
Pleasure,
then, of course,
Jenny. Thank you for joining us.
I picked up how turmeric is super powerful. It's in many of the suggested things. And then bergamot, is that the best oil for heart rate and blood pressure? Because I was getting palpitations during the call and I don't have bergamot.
Yeah, I think considering the study that Dr. Daniel did and the results that they got, I would say bergamot is definitely one of the best options, but it's obviously not the only one. Like I know that you have black spruce, and I would say that black spruce would be really supportive for that as well.
Okay, great. And then where can we, as doTERRA users, access information to see, is this oil okay for internal use? Because I really like the internal use.
So there is actually a PDF that has all the oils and it tells you how you can use each of them. So I will send that to you.
Awesome. And how many different oils can you use in one day? That's my final question.
Well,
Can I just quickly answer in terms of ingesting oils? Instead of having to look at the PDF or whatever. What I like to just remind people is, if it is a single oil, so if it's a basil or if it is lemon or peppermint, and like, okay, those all come from plants, so I know exactly what they are, then they are generally safe to ingest. And then if it is a blend, so if it's Breathe or if it's Clary Calm, then you're like, I'm not 100% sure of the ingredients. I can look on the bottle, but generally speaking, you just need to check on those whether they can be ingested. But most of the single oils can be ingested. So that's an easy way to remember it as well.
Great, great. Lovely.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rain.
Yeah,
and
and
all
then
the others.
your last question, how many oils can you use in a day?
Yes.
So it's when you're talking about internal use, that's when it's really important to be aware of how much you're using. I think the daily limits, and Natalie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is 18 to 24 drops.
Yeah.
But if you look at that's a large amount, and you would never be taking that much unless you're in an acute period of illness. Like if you have a flu and you're using the flute internally, which you can take it in a capsule, then you're going to be careful and you're going to count how many drops you're having so that you don't go overboard. But on a daily basis, normally you would be taking your 2 drops of turmeric in the morning, and maybe there's one other oil that you want to use as a support for something, or you want to put it in your tea because it tastes nice, then you have another 2 drops. So normally speaking, I wouldn't be having more than like 4 or 6 drops of oil in any one day, unless I'm in an acute period of sickness. When it goes to any other type of usage, I would say just listen to your body. If you start going overboard, you'll find that it doesn't smell as good, or maybe your skin has a bit of a reaction or something, and then you slow down. You're doing too much. But as long as it feels good, I don't think you can use too many.
Awesome. Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Are there any other
Great.
questions? I think it's just us left now anyway. Thank you so much for being here, everyone that was live. And to those that are watching the recording, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have questions, you can reach out either to me or the person that sent you here to have your questions answered. Thanks, guys. Bye.